So in this video, I want to talk about the last 2 years. Now, I started losing weight before I started Mounjaro, and I was only able to maintain 35 pounds off in an 8-month period. I went up, I went down, I went, like this. But then that fateful day when I went and saw the doc and she mentioned Mounjaro to me, I want to talk about from that point on. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I'm going to have some photos. There's going to be a few video clips that I'm going to show. And we're going to talk about how losing 40% of my body weight has changed my life. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name's Ken and I'm on a journey to lose as much weight as I possibly can so I can become a fat guy no more. Wow, what a video. That right there, just looking at it, I wish it would kind of gone a little bit slower so you could really take in. If you want to go back and run that slower, maybe I can run it in slow-mo right there so you can see each one of those steps along the way as I've clearly lost 40% of my body weight from there. That just literally blows my mind. I can't believe I've done it. And I got a long ways to go, but in this video I want to talk about the last 2 years. I want to celebrate the 2 years that were and to show exactly how far I've come. So if there's anybody out there that's watching this that wonders, should I start this medication? I want to show you exactly what I've gone through in the last 2 years, how far I've come, and why, I think you should. So why don't you join me on this journey, and here we go. When I started my most recent weight loss journey, I weighed 595 pounds. I used to weigh a lot more than that at one point back in the day. I'd lost some, gained it, lost some more. But in January of 2021, I tipped the scale at 595 pounds. To put it point blank, I am 595 pounds. Yeah. I don't even know that I've ever told my friends how much I weigh, let alone telling people I don't know. And that's when I started this channel. I wanted it to be something to hold me accountable. Something where I could look at it and I could put out videos that I could watch all along. And as I lost weight, I could use it to feed my fire to keep me moving forward. So I've realized that it's time to make that change, to start doing something about it. And that's when I came across some other videos on YouTube talking about their weight loss journey and how putting themselves out there made them feel more accountable to stick to their programs. And I'm like, I have no idea how I would do this. I have no idea why I would want to do this other than I want to lose this weight. I did pretty good to begin with, and then life got in the way. I started gaining, and then I would lose some. And I'd set myself a challenge, like my Joshua Tree challenge. I wanted to lose as much weight as I could before I went to Joshua Tree back, when was that? August of 21. But as soon as I got home from it, I started gaining weight again. Next thing you know, we're moving to Oklahoma, and I started gaining even more weight. The stress of having to deal with a big move like that, and my weight just went up. And in January of 2022, 1 year later, I got back on the scale when I decided I must lose weight, and I weighed 595 pounds again. So all that I had fought for in 2021, I had completely lost. I'm sure that sounds pretty familiar to a lot of you, because that's pretty much the cycle that most of us had gone through. So in 2022, I started losing, was doing pretty good again. Nothing major, but doing all right. And then this started happening again. Well, then around mid-April of 2022, I found myself in the doctor's office because my right knee went pop. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was at the time. He basically told me, you're just going to need a cortisone shot and you'll be okay. And that but rang really loud in my ears. And the biggest thing about it was that he wouldn't look at me. He'd look over at the wall, and then he'd glance back at me, and he'd look back at the wall. Finally, I said, Doc, are you trying to tell me I need to lose weight? And he looked right at me and said, yeah, You have to. It is a must. If you don't, you'll be in here having knee surgery soon. That was my wake-up call. Until that point, I had never had a doc tell me I had to lose weight. They'd always told me, you should. Maybe you should think about it. If you don't, possibly down the line, you might have issues. But nobody had ever told me that I had to lose weight. So, okay, this is what I was going to do. I was going to lose the weight. So naturally, when I left his office, what was the first thing I did? Yep, I went to Taco Bell. I figure if I'm going to get hardcore and trying to lose weight, I'm going to have Taco Bell one more time. So we went to Taco Bell, and then the next day we went to Jimmy John's. And then finally I decided, okay, here we go. Here we go. This is where I'm going to get serious. And between roughly the end of April and August 31st, when I saw my new doc, I had lost 35 pounds. That's all I was able to maintain off. And that's it for that whole time. Essentially from January to August, because that's when I'd started and then had that moment with the knee doc. And then finally went into my now primary care doctor. When we moved to Oklahoma, I didn't set up a primary care doctor. I don't like going to doctors. Doctors always want to talk about my weight. So I didn't do it. But my wife did. And when it came time that I had to, mostly because my prescriptions that I had run out, she said, hey, why don't you go see the one I'm seeing? She's amazing. And I said, she's going to want to talk about weight right away. And I don't know that I want to deal with it. But I went ahead and set up the appointment and I went into her. And sure enough, about 20 minutes into that appointment, she says, have you ever thought about having weight loss surgery? I shot a look over at my wife and just shook my head. And I told the doc, yeah, I have. And I actually did. Back in 1997, I had stomach staples done. I have a scar about this big right here that proves it. It didn't work at all. I don't want to go through that again. Absolutely not. Much to my surprise, she dropped it immediately. But then she asked me a question. Have you ever heard of these medications like Ozempic or Wegovy? I looked again over at my wife and we started laughing because we had just been singing the Ozempic theme song from their commercials on the way to that doctor's appointment. And I told her, yeah, doc, I have. But most of that's like for type 2 diabetics, right? I'm not type 2. I don't want to take anything like that. And then she mentioned Mounjaro, and she did tell me it was for type 2 diabetes. But that off-label, it's been shown to really help people lose weight, and she felt that it would do amazing things for me if I would just give it a try. I told her I didn't want to. I didn't want to inject into my body something that wasn't designed for it. I didn't need it, as I am not type 2 diabetic. It is one of the only things it seems like that's not wrong with me, but it's true. I am not type 2, so I didn't want to do it. She then told me about the savings card where you could get a box for $25. And we discussed it back and forth. My wife kept shaking her head yes, as if I should do it. And finally, I told my doc, I said, I'll give you 3 months. 3 months. I will give it the old college try for 3 months. And if in 3 months I don't lose any weight or I'm not losing enough, I don't want to hear another word about it. I give it a try. I'm going to be honest with you. I'll go full bore with it. And if it doesn't work, I don't want to hear another thing. 3 months later, when I went and seen her, I don't know who had bigger tears in their eyes, me or her, honestly. It was definitely working big time. There was no doubt about it. The only problem now, that savings card no longer worked for me. So from that moment forward, after 2 months only, I had to pay full price out of pocket. That was anywhere from $1,100 to $1,300 for a box of 4 pens. This is when I started learning that I could actually stretch out my shots and take them further apart. Now that's going to be a whole different video that I'll eventually do, so I won't get into that. But that was the moment when I realized, okay, I'm going to have to do something because I need this medication. And if my insurance isn't going to cover it, if they're not going to reject it to where then I could get it for $25 a box, I'm going to have to do what I can. So we started putting money into our HSA, which then allowed, tax-free going into that. So that helped some. I did the math and realized how much we're saving by not going out to restaurants or not Ubering in food. And it kind of helped. It still hurt a lot. It still does. But it was something that my wife and I realized I needed. And so that's why we continue to do it. So over the last couple years, you've seen my videos. If you've been following along, you know exactly what my struggles have been, how well I've done, and how much I've lost. So what I really want to jump into right now are the differences, things that I couldn't do or could barely do before I started this journey, and things that I can do now. I want to celebrate the good part of it. You know, we all struggle. It's just a fact of life, but we have to keep moving forward, right? And that's why that's my mantra, because the day-to-day minutia makes it really look like you're struggling hard. But when you take a step back and look at your journey, you'll see how far you've come. And that's what I want to show right now. How losing 40% of my body weight has made a huge difference on how I live my life. So the first thing I want to mention is how back then I didn't even want to leave my house. When we moved to Oklahoma, I actually had to stay in the car all day long. I was wedged into that car, I'll show a picture of that later, so tightly, my gut right against the steering wheel, that I literally would get in at one hotel, I would drive us to the next hotel, whether that was 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours later. I would get out, go into that room before I would even use the restroom that day. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt all around. I ached. I didn't want to get out to walk in to even use a restroom during the day. I just honestly dreaded it, every bit of it. It was tough. Even thinking back on it, I can't believe I was in that position, but it was tough. And I just didn't want to be seen in public. I just really didn't. But now I love going. I love getting out of my house. Staying at home drives me crazy because I want to get out and go and see and do. It is amazing how losing 40% of your body weight, in my case, has made such a big difference on the mental aspect. I'm not even talking the physical aspect, just the mental aspect of wanting to get out, go, and do. And that's a huge difference for me, and one that I'm very thankful for. So speaking of being in the car, I no longer need a seatbelt extender. Yeah, that was one of the things I had to buy because I simply could not wear a seatbelt. And it was, I don't know, probably summer of 21. I was driving to work out in Issaquah, Washington, and an Issaquah police officer pulled me over for not wearing a seatbelt and gave me a ticket. Yeah, that one sucked because like I told him, seatbelt don't fit. I just simply can't wear it. His response to that was, get an extender, suck it up, and handed me a ticket and walked away. So I did. You know, I ordered one online for like $20 and it was great. It was tight, even with the extender, but it went on. I didn't have to worry about getting a ticket again, and that's really what mattered. Now I don't have to wear that thing. I threw that thing away well over a year ago, and I want to show you, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to show you here, me getting into my car now. I want to show this first picture. This was me, December 27th, 2021. We had just gotten into Bartlesville to my brother's coffee shop. I've mentioned that in past videos, even one just a couple videos ago, maybe last video. Yeah, look at a couple things here. Notice where that steering wheel is right up against me. That steering wheel is telescoped all the way in. And notice where the seat belt rides up on me there. It barely fit, even with the seatbelt extender. Notice the handle there right by my head, how you can barely see it, the grip bar there. Now let me show you this other one here. Yeah, this one's from just a couple days ago. Notice how much lower in the seat I sit. Notice how much further back I sit. And this is with the steering wheel telescoped all the way out. If I put that thing all the way in now, I'm reaching like this. I have to lean forward to grab it. Yeah, that ain't good either. It's uncomfortable. Now I have to have it all the way out just to be able to drive that car. This is a major difference for me. You know, I used to be jealous when I would see people getting into a car and they would have a gap between them and the steering wheel, you know, because I was so used to my gut just being pressed right up against it. Didn't matter what kind of car I was driving. Absolutely didn't matter. It was always that way. And now here's a picture I took just a couple days ago. Notice that. Again, that's with the steering wheel telescoped all the way out. And I have a gap between there. makes me smile every single time I get in the car. You know, when you get to a certain size, some people, like myself, need a little extra help to walk around. And I needed a cane. So one of the things that's been the biggest difference for me on this journey is that I no longer need my cane. As much as I love my cane, and I've named her Megan, Megan McCain, get it? Megan McCain, Megan McCain. Man, I love Megan. She has helped me so much. But with that said, I can't wait until the day comes where I just get to leave her at home. I remember just a couple months after I started, my friend Angie and I went and saw Luke Combs at the Paycom Center in downtown Oklahoma City. I remember walking across the street and into the arena and up to, I was holding onto that cane. I was white knuckling it. I could barely walk. Now I don't need it. As a matter of fact, when I went to Tulsa recently, I didn't even take the cane with me. It stayed at home. I had been taking it just in case, but on this last trip, didn't even take it with me. Didn't need it, had no reason to have it. Talk about freedom. I remember last summer, it was almost a year ago. It's right at, as a matter of fact, today's September 3rd, so it was a year and 2 days ago. I was in Kansas City, and I had been debating taking my cane with me as I walked into that ballpark. I had done a few little times without it, like going into like a convenience store, you know, getting gas, those kind of things. But I had not done it yet at a ballpark. And I was just curious what it would be like if I could do it. So I left it in the car on purpose. And September 1st, 2023, I walked into Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City without my cane for the first time. And it was like freedom. Freedom. I'm so grateful that I had that cane when I needed it, but to not have to have it with me so I can go out and do something was just spectacular. It is, as corny as it sounds, it's a weight off your shoulders when you know you don't need something like that, when the only reason you have it is because of your weight. You know, I'm also disabled. I've talked about that too, with braces on my legs. But that's not why I needed it. I needed it because my weight was almost 600 pounds and I couldn't walk. And my leg strength was diminished because of it. And I needed a cane. Not anymore. I don't use it. I don't look at it. Occasionally at night, I might have to grab for it. I do keep it next to my bed. It depends upon how bad my feet are hurting when I don't have my braces on. But it is so few and far between. And again, this last trip to Tulsa, didn't even take it with me. And that made me smile, because that's a big, big milestone that I just passed. So for about 2.5 years, if I wanted to cook a meal, I would have to keep a chair in my kitchen for me to sit down on. Let me show you this clip right here. This was a little video that my wife took on her phone from January 1st, 2023. Now what she was really showing was my dog Boomer watching my every move as I made my traditional New Year's Day Hoppin' Johns that day. But what this really shows to me is me being overweight and having to sit down to even cook anything. And watching that, it hurt. I mean, I knew I had to do it. I knew I was doing it, but I couldn't see it from that perspective to really realize that because of my weight, I couldn't do something as basic as stand in the kitchen to cook myself something to eat. So here's that clip real quick. Yeah. I don't need that chair anymore. I don't even keep it around. The only time that chair is in the kitchen nowadays is if I got to stand on it, or my wife's got to stand on it to get something from one of the upper cabinets. Otherwise, that's it. It's in the dining room now, where it should be. And that to me is such a major victory. The fact that I could stand in the kitchen to make anything that I want. The other night I made fish tacos, and so I stood there making slaw for it. I made some guacamole. I made some pico, doing all that dicing, all of that, putting that all together, making the fish tacos, everything. I stood the whole time, and when I went and sat down at the table, I just started laughing, because I remembered what it would have been like just a year, even two before. Man, what a difference. What a difference in my life. So let's talk clothes. Holy cow, I used to hate clothes shopping. Now I freaking love it. I absolutely love it. I started my journey wearing a 10X t-shirt. Now I could fit into some that are 4X. Now, one thing I've learned, and I've always heard my wife talk about it with women's clothes too, is it just depends upon the brand, right? The maker, as the size difference. It's always seemed funny to me because if I've got a 4X shirt on, it should be the same across. Yeah, it's not the case. So there are actually a couple 3X t-shirts that I can wear and some that I could barely pull over my shoulder, so I don't even try it, right? But man, from a 10X down to a 4X. This shirt I've got on right here, and how about my tie? How's it looking, by the way? Does it look good? Comment down below if you like me in a tie or if this just looks way too weird for me even. Let me know what you think. But this shirt, this long sleeve shirt here is a 5X. I like it. I feel comfortable in it. Again, started out in a 10X. One thing that I really like to point out is the very first day of my overall weight loss journey this time, I wore my Oklahoma Sooner jersey to work, and I look like I look like a sausage. It was so tight on me. But now look at this thing. Check this out. Let me actually show you the difference here between back when I was probably about 620, 625 when I was working in the brewery at Manfish, and just today. Let me show you these here. Look at this. What a freaking difference. Look how this jersey is just hanging on me. It's become a dress. I mean, it really has. And that's good and bad because now I've had to buy all new clothes, right? I still haven't got me a new Cerner jersey. That's just the one right there. I was actually looking just this morning at looking to buy a new one, but couldn't find one that I really liked. I want one with Bosworth on it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going back to the Bosworth days. You better believe it. So I want to find a throwback classic of an Oklahoma Sooner jersey. I'll find it. It just wasn't where I was looking at. So, and then we'll get rid of this guy. Nah, I'm never going to get rid of it. It's always going to stay in my closet to remind me of where I was and just how far I've come. Let's talk about walks. Let me show you this video real quick here. I want to be able to go for walks. Just for exercise, just to get out of the house, take the dogs with me, whatever it is. So there's a series of milestones that go with that. I want to be able to do a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute walk, a 15-minute walk, a 20-minute walk, and eventually do a 30-minute walk. I don't know if I'll get some of those upper ones this year. So that was me from my end of the year video at the end of 2022. Looking ahead to 2023. 2023 didn't work out as good as I had hoped. There was a lot that went on. I still lost a decent amount of weight that year, but there was a lot of things that just didn't work out well for me, and a big part of that was I ended up taking shots way too few and far between. So if you remember, I took a period off there where I wasn't doing videos anymore, and then when I came back, I celebrated the fact that I was actually up only 5 pounds. I think it was 4 or 5. I think it was 5. It was a pretty bad summer for me in respects of weight loss and diet. I had an amazing summer, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to that part, it was terrible. And it was right about then that everything started turning around thanks to the help from a few people who will remain nameless. If you're watching this, you know who you are. And once again, thank you so much. You are a big reason why I'm sitting here right now, being able to celebrate being down 40% of my body weight. So thank you very much. But walking was something I wanted to do. Like I said in that video, I wanted to be able to do those short walks and eventually longer walks. And my doctor actually didn't even give me the okay to start doing walks for exercise until earlier this year. I think it was back in March. Because we were worried about what it might do to my knees and my feet at that weight. And when she finally gave me that okay, boy, that turned me loose. That's when I got my treadmill and I started doing walks all the time. Of course, then we know what happened with my leg braces, yada, yada, yada. Won't get into that. That's going to be for another video. But I was able to surpass every one of those milestones of walks almost immediately once I started walking. I really thought it was going to take me a long time. I really did. I know there was a couple people that commented on here that it's not going to take me that long at all, and I could probably do it first time out. I don't know why you guys thought that, but it was something to me that I just felt would take me a long time. One, I've never been the kind to be like, hey, let's go for a walk, ever. And so to do that, it took me some time. But now I love going down by the lake. I've done videos from down there. Just getting going. Nice wind. It's about 80 degrees, but it's got a good wind. Keeps it cooler. And it's been a while, but as our weather cools down, I'm going to get out there more often. And so I'll be doing more videos from out there, you know, maybe doing like a, hey, let's go for a walk with Ken kind of thing. But I can do it now. I can walk. I can go with my wife if she wants to go shopping. When some friends were here earlier this summer, I went with them antiquing. That was amazing. I had a great time doing that. Just a few nights ago, went to a concert with my wife. Had to do a lot of walking for it. I mean, just spectacular. But for exercise, I actually enjoy that now. I love getting up on my treadmill and going for a walk. And like I said, I love going for walks down by the lake. It's just been too hot. So once it cools down, we'll get back out there and I'll do it. Why? Because I can now. And that's awesome. And just overall, I'm feeling so much better. My blood pressure is coming down. I haven't had to go off my medication yet, but I used to be even high, even with the medication. And now I'm where I'm supposed to be, around the 120 and 80 mark, somewhere along in there, 123, 83, something like that, you know. And I'm able to control that a little better. And I know as I lose more, then I'll be able to let go of those medications. And I'm really looking forward to that. But one of the biggest things that I've been able to do that I swore I wouldn't cry. One of the biggest things I can do now that I couldn't even do for myself when I started this journey was I can put my own socks on and I can put my own shoes on by myself. Now I know to most of you watching this, you're thinking, and when you get to that size and you can't do that for yourself, it takes away your freedom. You can't just get out of bed and go and do stuff. I couldn't walk. I needed the braces on my feet. So I had to wait for my wife, God bless her, to come and put my shoes and socks on for me so I could get up and go do stuff. I haven't been able to put my socks on now by myself for probably 2 weeks, maybe more. I have to have help from my wife, and that's just ridiculous. Not anymore. It's been, I don't know, I think later this year will be 2 years. So it took me a few months. So it was probably like November, December of 2022 when I was finally able to do it on my own. I can't remember exactly the date, but I remember trying it. I remember struggling, but I did it. And I was so excited that I walked out front. And my wife's like, hey, do you need help? And she just froze and just looked at me and started smiling. I said, yep, I got it myself. I said, can't guarantee it'll be that way every day. But I did that day. And there was a couple times I needed help. My back hurt and stuff like that. But then eventually I was able to just put my shoes and socks on myself. And that just adds to the freedom. And that is one of the biggest things about losing this weight. That it's freedom that I've gained. You know, I used to say that 595 plus pounds was my own prison cell. It's the time that I had to pay for eating the stuff that I did. I blamed it on myself. Absolutely blamed that weight on myself. There was nobody else. It was just me. Whatever it is in this medication that does what it does, that broke me out of that prison. So a couple weeks ago, I asked on my community page here on my channel if you had any questions for me for this video. So as I've done in the past, I've got my phone here with me and I'd like to read a few of those and answer them. So let's start off with this one right here. It says, I've been watching your channel for a couple weeks and have seen your strength when approaching certain topics. What are your toughest topics you have tackled on this channel? And what do you think about someone fearful of therapy approaching it for weight issues? The toughest topic, I don't know. I think it's just being legit, right? Just being me. Everything is tough. I mean, just to sit down and put yourself out there and talk about it. I mean, if you guys saw half of the emails that I get, you would probably want me to stop doing this. I am not kidding you, literally, when I say I've even got a death threat before. I don't take it serious. I mean, I don't, because anybody that complains about me putting myself out there doesn't understand. You know, either they hate themselves so much or they just simply don't get it. And so, you know, all I could say to them is God bless you and thank you for sending me an email. Have a great day. But there's a lot of hate, and that might be the toughest thing, is just, you know, sitting down here and talking with y'all, because I know that there's going to be hate coming my way. And as dumb as that sounds to me, I mean, that is true. So what do I think about somebody who's fearful of therapy for weight issues? Now, I'm trying to figure out what you meant by the word therapy. So I'm going to go at it 2 prongs here. One, if you're talking about like literally talking with a shrink kind of therapy, I'm all for it. Because sometimes that's all somebody needs. I've been there. It didn't work for me. But I was very thankful that I had somebody that I could talk to about this that wasn't going to judge me for saying the things that I was going through. And that could be a major factor in what could help somebody turn their weight issues around. If you're talking about therapy, like, you know, with Mounjaro or Zepbound or Ozempic, Wegovy, those kind of therapies, then absolutely what I would tell them is do it. Watch this video. If you know anybody who's afraid of this or is having issues thinking about it, they're on the fence about wanting to start this, show them this video. And I'm not just saying that to get more views. I'm saying I want them to see these videos, these pictures of me from where I started to where I am now, because that's what I want for them. Kind of like I mentioned in my video a few weeks ago about meeting the guy Eric at the ballpark. I was so excited to share my story with him because I wished I had somebody like that back then. When I started taking Mounjaro, I had nobody I could turn to. There was a couple groups on Facebook, but they were horrible, horrible groups, and I got out of there in a hurry. And then I come across BJ Davis's Discord, was invited over to it, and so it is an amazing group of people. I don't spend as much time over there as I should, but shout out to BJ for starting that and helping me on my path to know that there were people out there that were actually supportive of this, and that there were people like me that were struggling to lose weight that are turning their life around with this medication. So if you know somebody who is struggling, just bring them over. Show them this video, show them any of mine. Show them how far I've come. Most of it's for me, so I can watch and see just how far I've come. I make no bones about that. But if it could help somebody else out there, man, I am very thankful for that. So if any of these videos have helped any of you, well, I'm thankful for that. So thank you for watching. And man, I love this community that I'm a part of. And I hope that, again, if you know anybody that's on the fence about taking these, that this can help them make that decision and start the journey for themselves, because they'll be glad they did. All right, so let's look at this question. It says, what are your feelings on titration speed, once a month, or how you're responding, or other? I think we need to figure out one of 2 things first. Are you taking it for type 2 diabetes, or are you taking it just simply for weight loss like I am? I have not moved over to Zepbound yet. I've got 3 shots left of Mounjaro. Then I'll make the jump to Zepbound. So it just depends upon what you're taking. Now, obviously, if you're taking any of these medications for type 2, follow it as your doctor prescribes. I mean, that is just the way it has to be. So you get from it the best that it can do for you. If you're taking it just simply for weight loss like I've been, now, I've been told legally I cannot tell somebody that they should stretch out their shots. So what I will tell you is, I have been. If you've been following my videos all along, you'll know, as I mentioned earlier, that I started stretching out my shots. And I've done that for a reason, and that's money. Money was it. Man, I'm sitting here 2 years in, having lost 40% of my body weight, and all I can wonder is, how much would I have lost if I could have taken this thing weekly like you're supposed to? Could you imagine? I just took a shot, and that now puts me at 51, I think it is, 51 shots in 104 weeks. Might be 52 in 104. So if it's, let's just call it 52. If it's 52 shots in 104 weeks, that means I literally took one every other week. So I took half of what you're supposed to when you're on this medication. And I was still able to lose this kind of weight. I can only imagine what I could have done if I could have taken it regularly. With that said, if you're still losing weight and you feel that, what I like to call that rock in your stomach, and that food noise is gone, I wouldn't take a shot right away. I would go as far as I can. And how I did it was I went 10 days to start off with. So instead of taking it at my 7th day, I waited 3 more days and then I took it. Regardless of what was going on, I took it at the 10-day mark. And then the next time I waited till 10. Okay, now how do I feel? Am I still feeling that? Is the food noise still gone? Okay, it is. So I went 11 days and then I went 12. Okay, how am I doing? I vaguely remember taking a shot at 12 days as well. So I did then, and then I started stretching it more. I eventually got to the point when my doc first moved me up to 12.5 milligrams where I could go 3 weeks. 3 full weeks between shots. At that 3-week mark, I felt that I really needed to take another shot regardless of how I was feeling, because I didn't want it to completely be out of my system, right? I wanted it to be able to work for me. So I took them at 3 weeks. Now there were times in the summer of 2023 where I went further than that. I went up as far as 5 weeks between. Wasn't because I wanted to. A lot of that was because I was out on the road doing stuff, just had other things scheduled, and I just kept stretching it, mainly because I couldn't afford to take it every single week. We know that. So I would do what I can to make it work. And it's worked for me. Will it work for you? Maybe. Can I advise you to do it? Again, like I said, I've been told I can't legally say that, but you can see what I've done. You could hear what I just talked about. And if you think that might work for you, maybe you can try it. But just be careful when you do. And again, if you're taking it just simply for weight loss, I think you'll do good. But just be mindful of your body. Listen to what it says. Listen to what it tells you, because your body will tell you more than any person on YouTube or any person on Facebook could ever tell you. Listen to that again. Your body can tell you more than anything that anybody on YouTube or on Facebook could ever tell you. So just listen to it. Listen to its cues. If you start hearing that, oh, I should eat that. Oh, those cookies look good. That's not what we want. Go ahead and take that shot if you're over 7 days, or if you're over 10 or 14 or 15, whatever it is. Take that shot to block that out so you don't put yourself in a hole like I have many times, because that voice has come back, and I like to say it's come back pissed off. And there were, in the past, there were some peanut butter cookies that got destroyed, if you know what I'm saying. So again, that's a part of the journey. Like I mentioned previously, sometimes looking at the day-to-day is not a good thing. You've got to look at the entire journey. I am so grateful for the amount of weight that I have lost in this journey. Yeah, 233 pounds. I mean, how can I argue with that? But I'll always wonder what I could have done if I'd have been just a little stricter or been able to take these shots weekly like so many people can. All right, so the next question reads here, what is your plan for maintenance? How much weight did you lose? What's the highest milligram you're on? Let's answer the easy ones first. How much weight did I lose? So far, I've lost 233 pounds. That's 198 with Mounjaro. So I'm 2 away from that big milestone of 200 pounds. I'd really hope to have it by today. Didn't hit it, but again, that's why I do not set goals. I know myself. If I'd have said I have to have 200 pounds off by my 2 year and I didn't get it, even if I'm measly 2 pounds away, I'd have been mad. I'd have been just ticked off. But I'm not. I'm disappointed in myself, sure. But I understand that I've done things that maybe I shouldn't have done, and that's just how it's going to be. And as much as I hate this expression, right, and I'm probably too damn old to say it, YOLO, right? You only live once. You only live once. And sometimes you just got to have that piece of cake, or maybe you got to have those cookies, or maybe you're at a niece or nephew's birthday party and you know, that cake looks really good, don't it? So you gotta live too. You can't simply tell yourself no all the time. I am a firm believer, and also a Star Wars nerd, as you'll see, in the fact that restriction is the path that leads to the dark side. Yeah, you keep telling yourself no, and you're gonna go down that darker path. I did, And I'll bet you several of you watching this have been there and understand exactly what I'm saying. So don't tell yourself no all the time. Have something. Just know what it's going to do to you. That's probably going to slow your weight loss down. But be happy that you're still losing weight overall, because that's what really matters. What's the highest milligram you're on? I am currently on 12.5 milligrams. I've been on it since June of last year, so 2023. When I was getting about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks stretch between shots, my doc told me, you know, for the same money, we can move you up to 12.5 and you could probably get 3 weeks or better on it. She was absolutely right. I absolutely did. So I'm glad that we did it. And I've been able to stay on it. It is now to that point where I'm needing to take it a little closer together. I think I mentioned in my last weight update video that I'm starting to wonder if I should move up to 15. A couple of you left some great comments for me about maybe taking them closer together. I like that idea, so I'm going to try. I'll probably take one here pretty soon, which will be about 10 days, and then we'll see how that goes, honestly. If that doesn't work for me after a couple more, then I'm going to move up to 15. But currently the highest dose I've taken is 12.5 milligram. So the last part of that question is, what's my plan for maintenance? Well, that kind of ties in with a different question here. Somebody else asked right here, once you reach your goal weight, will you stay on Tirzepatide the rest of your life to help you keep the weight off? Yes. When I went and saw my doc, as I mentioned earlier in this video, that first appointment with her, she made it clear to me that this is a lifelong thing. That on some level, I will be taking a dose of this somewhere, some way for the rest of my life. And I had to be ready for that. If I had to take a guess right now at what that maintenance dose might be, I would probably guess either 10 or 12.5 milligrams. I think right now, if I was to step back to 10, I would probably just simply maintain most of the time. I don't believe I would lose much, and I may do this, on it, which that's pretty much what maintenance is about. It's not about staying the same weight straight through. So I would probably guess 10 or 12.5 milligrams, but that's a long ways to go. We've talked about it in the past, that weight that my wife wanted me to try to hit, 275. Still got a ways to go. But once I get to that, then we'll see what's happening. We'll see what my body's doing. And if it's going to want me to go beyond that, I refuse to set an actual weight that I want to hit. 275 is just kind of that number that she said, that I looked at her and went, that's 320 pounds I'd have to lose. Ain't no way. I mean, I literally laughed so hard, I almost wet my pants. I mean, that's just the truth. But here I am now pretty close to it. And if my body's going to allow me to get to it, I can't wait. That would be a hell of a milestone. I can't wait for that video. Wouldn't that just be spectacular? That'd be a great celebration. And it could happen. It wasn't that long ago that I was telling her there's just no way. And now I'm like, yeah, there's a dang good chance that could happen. But we'll have to see. One more question. The last one comes here from the man on the Mounjaro, Dave Knapp himself. If you're not part of Dave's community, Man on the Mounjaro, please check him out. I will link his channel in the description of this video. Dave is amazing. Last spring, meaning spring of 2023, I had the opportunity to sit down with him in Iowa and talk to him. He is just like he is on his videos. He is just a very spectacular, special human being that has been out there advocating for all of us in this community. And he's just fantastic. He is a great person. So again, if you haven't joined his community, if you haven't checked him out on all of his social media networks, go do that for me if you would, please, because you just have to. I mean, he's awesome. So the last question goes to you, Dave, and that question is, what has been the most rewarding part of your journey? I actually asked my wife this question to see what she would say. To me, I would have said something like being able to get out and go, being able to go to Thunder basketball games, being able to go to baseball games, being able to go to Oklahoma City Broadway shows with my wife. That's something she really loves doing, and I hadn't been able to do it. We can now sit side by side in seats next to each other because of losing weight here with this. If it's going on trips, going and seeing this country, like when I come up and saw you, Dave, or if it's just comedy shows, whatever it is. You know, there's so many more things that I've been able to do by losing this weight. That's what I probably would have said. But all of those seem to have one common denominator to it. And that is the answer that my wife said. And that was mobility. Mobility. The fact that I can get up and move and do more. I mentioned earlier about being able to put my shoes and socks on by myself. That allows me to get up and walk and do more. I don't have to use my cane. I don't have to use a chair in the kitchen. I can go to all of those events that I just mentioned. I can go out shopping with my wife. If it's clothes shopping or antiquing with her and her friends, I can go and do things. So while I looked at those as things that I could do, again, it all comes down to one thing, and that's mobility. Getting my mobility back has been the most rewarding part of this entire journey, without question. Now that comes from a personal standpoint. That's for me, the things that I've been able to do. But I'll tell you what, there are emails that I get from people out there that watch this channel that have told me, I've been able to lose X amount of weight because of you. That might be overall the most rewarding part of this journey. The fact that I'm doing this for me, not only the losing weight, but doing these videos, but then I hear from people out there, and I'm talking at times, I get 4 and 5 emails a day from people that just want to talk. If you want to send me an email and just talk, here's my email address. Anytime you want to. Keep in mind, it might take me a little bit to respond. Don't think I'm ignoring you. But please do send me an email just to say hi if you want. I don't care. If you need somebody to listen, I'm there. I'm there for you. That's my email address. Send me a message. Absolutely. But those emails I've got from people that have lost, some of them 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 60 pounds, 75 pounds, because they've watched my videos and saw that if I could do it, they can too. Overall, that's the most rewarding. Because that means that my story is helping others to achieve those things that I'm achieving. Just like getting my mobility back. I'll bet you I'm not the only one that agrees with that for their personal journey. But man, I love reading those emails. I love seeing people who have lost weight as well. And if it's because of a video they watched of mine that may have seemed so inconsequential, that not a whole lot of people are watching, honestly. If it touches one person, that's all that matters. It's all that matters. And I'm so thankful for that. So thank you to each and every one of you out there watching that have shared your story with me. Man, I appreciate it. Absolutely. All right, so there are some thank yous that I want to say here. First and foremost, it goes without saying, my Lord and Savior, thank you so much for putting me in this position right now to be able to be here and celebrate this amazing weight loss. Without you, nothing is possible, and I understand that completely. Second, I want to thank my wife. This one's a little tough for me. You know, I was a big guy when we met, and I just got bigger. It's always been a struggle, no matter what. She has been there while I have banged my head against the wall of saying the math just doesn't add up. I've been told for so many years that weight loss is simple math. Burn more calories than you consume, you will lose weight. There are still a lot of people out here on the internet, on YouTube, that preach that, and they are wrong. Trust me on that. It does not work for everybody. I am case in point that that isn't the case. So if you're struggling and you have somebody telling you that, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them when they tell you that taking a medication like this is a cop-out. Absolutely do not listen to them, because I have been there. My wife and I have been married for just over 20 years. I'd be willing to bet that for 17 of those years, she listened to me complain about how the numbers just don't match up. They just don't equate for me like they do. I am burning X amount of calories, only eating X amount, and I am not losing and sometimes gaining. And then Mounjaro came along and she saw what it could do. So she made sure that I had this medication. She was willing to work with me to make sure that I had it so I could be here and lose this weight. And that I will always be thankful for. Another thank you I want to give is to my doctor. I won't call her by name. Doc, you know who you are. You told me you watched some of these videos. So if you're watching this one, let me say a deep, heartfelt thank you. Thank you so much for that moment in your office that day, just over 2 years ago, where you introduced me to this medication. And not only that, you believed that it would work for me. You truly felt the situation I was in, that this would be something that would do wonders for me. You were absolutely correct. And for that, I thank you for giving me my life back. Thank you so much. When I first started watching YouTube videos about weight loss, I wanted to see what other people's journeys were like. And I came across this next person I'd like to thank. I came across her channel. And I started watching her, and she's amazing. She would mix honesty with being funny about it at times too. And I could sit and listen to this woman recite the phone book, if you know what I'm saying. I love listening to her talk about her journey. She's had struggles along the way. And, you know, like she says now, how does she put it? Trying to lose 100 pounds my way, which now includes a VSG. Yeah, Sara from Lose Weight Sara, I'm talking about you. Thank you for starting your weight loss YouTube channel, because it inspired me to do the same thing. And that's a big reason why I'm sitting here right now. So thank you so much for that. Last but not least, I want to thank all of y'all. Every single one of you that comes and watches this channel, that leaves me comments. I mean, comments like this. Yeah, every single one of these I read and I respond to in one way or another, because you've taken time out of your life to come and leave a comment on one of my videos. Again, I've talked about it. I started this channel as a way for me to keep myself accountable, but you guys have come along and the subscriber numbers keep growing and the comments keep going. And I am so thankful for that. I know that it sounds cliche, but you keep me moving forward. Absolutely. Every one of you that watches these videos, every one of you that comments on them, keep me moving forward. Your words of encouragement mean the world to me. So thank you. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I truly mean that, because you're keeping me moving forward on my journey to become a fat guy no more. So I hope you've enjoyed this look back and this discussion of my last couple years and how losing 40% of my weight has changed my life. I can only imagine what it's going to be like at the 3-year mark and beyond, honestly. So I'll ask you, as I always do, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do that for me. Like this video, leave a comment, help out that algorithm. I would really appreciate it. I would love this video to be seen by more people than any of my other videos that have, because this one means a lot to me. It really does. The fact that I can show people that if somebody like me can lose this weight, they can too. So if you would please, like I asked, leave a comment, like this thing, share it. If you know anybody that might want to watch this, share it. Share it on your Facebook page, share it everywhere that you can. I would be very much appreciative. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on my journey to become a fat guy no more, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell so you can get notifications every time I upload a new video.